Hi, and I hope this will clear up any questions you have about comma splices. What is a comma splice to begin with? A comma splice occurs when you use a comma to join two clauses without placing an appropriate joining word between them, because the comma just is not strong enough to do the job for making one grammatical sentence out of two clauses. And here's a simple exam. Here's one clause, I completed my essay, and here's another clause, I have not submitted it. This comma is wrong usage. It's not strong enough to separate two clauses. A closely related grammatical error is a run-on sentence, and that occurs when you join two clauses without any punctuation mark at all. So this is the same thing. You've got one clause there and one clause here, and there's nothing here. That's a run-on sentence. So a comma splice and a run-on, they are very similar, as you can see. And fixing a run-on sentence is no different from fixing a comma splice. Here are some basic definitions, stuff that you already know. The grammatical term for a group of words that can stand on its own as a complete sentence, this is an independent clause. A dependent one cannot survive or stand by itself. To be an independent clause, the group of words must contain a subject and a predicator with a finite verb. And in the independent clause, I completed my essay, I is the subject and completed is the verb, i.e. the predicator, when we use P in our course, if you remember. The grammatical term for joining a word is conjunction, and conjunctions, they refer to those words in the English language such as and, but, or since, or because. And they allow us to build more sentences which are complex and compound out of simpler ones. Now the conjunctions and but are called coordinating conjunctions, and conjunctions like since and because and although, they're known as subordinating conjunctions. So, how to go about fixing a comma splice? And here are 4 straightforward ways to solve this problem. And understand the subtle differences between them, and make sure you don't get into the habit of always solving a comma splice problem in the same way. So look at each comma splice in your writing, in your first draft, as an opportunity to take control of what you're writing and to be able to play more with the grammatical sentences that you write. Solution 1, if you have a comma splice, is use a period, a full stop. The simplest way to fix a comma splice is to separate the two improperly joined clauses. Simply replace the comma with a full stop, as you can see. That's one way of doing it. Now, it may sound a bit abrupt, but at least it's grammatically correct. So that's one possible solution. Another, a period or full stop may be your best choice for fixing a comma splice when any of the following conditions hold: that there's a logical connection between the two clauses, that it's self-evident, one or both of the clauses is long, or the ideas represented in the two clauses are distinct. So, here's an example. I completed my essay, my English essay. Now I must go to the library and begin research at once on my 15-page history term paper. And I would actually like to have a comma there after each opening adverbial. Now notice here, now I must go to the library and begin. And here you don't have any kind of punctuation, and this is because there's no subject here. Had there been a subject just here, had there been an I just there, then you would have had to have had a comma there. But that's not the case in this. Solution 2, use a semicolon. Semicolon is a fantastic punctuation device, not very often used. And if you want a simple solution to the comma splice, but you prefer to encapsulate, so you want to have your two ideas in one sentence rather than two, then use a semicolon. I completed my essay and I have not submitted it. And this is good usage of a semicolon. And it's a good remedy for your comma splice when following these two conditions. 1, the logical connection between the two is already clear, and 2, the ideas represented in the two clauses are very closely related. Here's one more example. I completed my English essay, semicolon, next, I will tackle my history essay. Solution 3, use a coordinating conjunction, one of these. Unlike the semicolon, a conjunction allows you to combine your two ideas into a single sentence. But it has the added advantage of allowing you to indicate the logical relationship between the two ideas. So here's an example. I completed my essay, but I have not submitted it. So you notice, because you have a subject here as well, then you have to have the comma there. Solution 4 is use a subordinating conjunction, also a very good way to work with it. And subordinating conjunctions are similar to coordinating ones in that they allow you to indicate the logical relationship between the two independent clauses. Now the difference compared to a coordinating conjunction is that subordinating conjunctions lay unequal stress on the two parts of the new sentence. And we can use a subordinating conjunction, although, to solve our comma splice problem, and we can do so in two distinct ways. Here's one. I completed my essay, although I have not submitted it. And although I completed my essay, I haven't submitted it. And so this is a subordinating conjunction here. It subordinates. It makes this part subordinate to this part here. As the word subordinating suggests, we place less stress on the clause introduced by the subordinating conjunction. And there are a great many subordinating conjunctions in English, and here are some examples of them, and you'll find them in your respective grammar books. How not to fix a comma splice? Never try to join two sentences with a comma followed by a conjunctive adverb like this. I completed my essay, however, I haven't submitted it. For this to be correct, you need to have something like this. So without what I've just done, these red marks here, so without these here, the sentence is still a comma splice. So you have to learn to distinguish between conjunctive adverbs and subordinating conjunctions. They don't function in the same way. And here's some of the examples of the many conjunctive adverbs that exist in English. So with all of these, if you have a clause, semicolon, then you use one of the ones below and then one of those. And these are conjunctive adverbs. So you use a conjunctive adverb between a semicolon there and a comma there. So now note that you can use a conjunctive adverb to help fix a comma splice, but you must remember to put a period or a semicolon in front of the second independent clause. So here are the two ways you can do this. Either a full stop and a comma, or a semicolon and a comma. It's just that in example 1 and 2, example 1 you have two sentences, and in example 2 here you only have one sentence, but it's being separated by a semicolon. And that brings us to the end of this presentation.